Shalom, shalom, Israel. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom to all the men and women who are rehearsing the righteous acts day in and day out. Shalom to you. Before we get started, I want to give all praises, all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who are preaching and teaching this truth with humility and sincerity across the four winds of the world to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indigenous of the America. In case you didn't know, Yahweh is the true ancient Hebrew name who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh, meaning he is, he exists. Yahweh Shai is the only begotten Son who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Yahweh Shai, meaning he saves, he delivers. Bahasham is coming in the name. And Rahak Wadash is Spirit Holy. Okay, so today's video, don't really have the title of the video. I do have the idea, the main idea of what I want to speak on, but I will figure out the title, the caption later. For now, it will be about, how the nations of the world back then, when they felt the wrath of the Lord, they feared just through rumors of what Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai did for the Israelite nation. They were terrified, okay? So just like news is spread via internet nowadays, back then, they didn't have that, but they, people just were spreading this news of this God of Israelites, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and how he played in the role in how the Israelites escaped, okay? The famous story of the Exodus, okay? So this is what, in a nutshell, what I'll be speaking on, okay? So let's get started here in Joshua 2:9. Okay, let's start right here. And she said unto the men, I know that the Lord had given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. Okay, all the inhabitants of the land, and that land they were speaking on in this particular chapter in time was Jericho. Okay, just a little summary of where we're at, and all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. Everybody was in terror hearing about the story of the Israelites and how Yahweh, made Pharaoh, bend the knee and pretty much give up the Israelites to escape. Okay, so let's go here to Joshua 2:10. For we have heard how Yahweh dried up all the water of the Red Sea for you when ye came out of Egypt, and what you did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. Okay? And like we just got done reading, they heard it through the grapevine, those type of messages or those type of rumors spread quick like wildfire. Something so miraculous, something that the world has never heard of, okay? And that miraculous event that Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai did across the whole world to see or hear about was feared by the rest of the nations, right? And just like the nations back then were terrified of what Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai did for his nation of Yasharahla, so will it be like that here soon. Okay? This Exodus will happen again. Okay? This is part of prophecy, and it is written, and we'll go there here soon. But just recapping of what happened in the ancient days, For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you. Okay? The very well-known story of how the Red Sea was parted, for the Israelites to escape from the Pharaoh's soldiers on chariots, right? To later on having the Israelites completely escape and have the soldiers of the Pharaoh get consumed by the water, get swallowed up, right? On top of their chariots chasing after the Israelites, okay? And also the 10 plagues as well, right? Receiving the 10 plagues throughout the whole Egyptian empire, okay? Pharaoh Ramses, being the king, was forced to let the Israelites go, okay? Out of fear and out of desperation, out of anguish, the power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, using Moses to bend the arm of the king Ramses, okay? So just like back in those ancient days, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai will do that again. The great Exodus will be done again, okay? It will happen again. But this time, it will be for his elect men. And just like in times past, it's going to be this time more miraculous than any times ever throughout history. Okay, and then people at those days, as we just got done reading, were terrified. They were just completely terrified of Moses. Even the Israelites were scared of Moses because Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai was directly dealing with him only. Okay, and they saw all the miracles he performed in front of them. And later on only to be completely terrified of Joshua later as well for, taking the place of Moses after he passed to continue doing the will of the Father, okay? So let's go here to Amos 5:18. Woe unto you that desireth the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you the day of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai? Is darkness and not light. Woe unto you that desires the day of the Lord. Okay? And that's a lot of these people out here in the world, that are completely in the lost, right? These people are in complete denial, not knowing the scriptures, not knowing the sincerity and the outright fear that people will be facing, just like in the days of the Exodus with the Israelites, okay? Even the Israelite nation was trembling as they were escaping, right? Being led by Moses out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, okay? The Israelites and all the other people in the surrounding nations were terrified of what was going on. Nothing like that has ever happened, ever, throughout their history, throughout their time, and they didn't think it would ever happen, right? The most powerful reigning empire at that time had to submit to a Hebrew slave, even though we know the story of Moses was, he was raised by the Egyptians. Okay, he was found by the riverbank, but they knew he was really a Hebrew. He was a Hebrew Israelite slave. His bloodline was a true Hebrew Israelite. Okay. So, and completely, taking away the huge labor force that Egypt had at that time, right? Completely giving it away by force and by fear, right? And nothing in collateral, nothing in return for the Egyptian empire. Nothing. If anything, hundreds and hundreds of them died from the stiff-neckedness and the rebellion against the Heavenly Father. Okay? Trying to still grab the Israelites and put them back in captivity out of just pure rage, out of just pure stiff-heartedness, as it is said in scripture, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai hardened Pharaoh's heart, and it's a scary thing when you fall into the hand of the Lord, man. And this is what we tell our people, man. You can play with anything in the world, but the one thing you don't want to play with is the powerful force of the whole world and universe, okay? And Pharaoh effed around and found out, along with his soldiers, and his empire was completely collapsed. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's continue here. So just like back in the days, that was such a great miraculous event that took place, and the Israelites were able to escape the house of bondage, right? Which is Egypt, which that is the meaning of Egypt, is the house of bondage, okay? That was the great miraculous thing that so many people witnessed and had to live through, and so many people feared of what was happening. And just like that is going to happen again. And we are living real close in those days to witness the most miraculous event ever in history, besides this wicked empire, ruling empire of Babylon, spiritual Sodom, and spiritual Egypt, which is all three in the spirit reincarnated till today in America. Okay? Besides this empire falling, being destroyed, is going to be also the salvation of the elect Israelites of the nation of Yasharahla. Okay? And we're going to go there real quick to Jeremiah 16 and 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Yasharahla out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Yasharahla from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their own land that I gave unto their fathers. Okay? So, there you go. The land of the north is referring to here to America. Okay? If you could receive it in the spirit, that'll be great. That means the Lord might be working with you in the spirit. And if you can't receive it, the Lord might not be working with you, okay? Because it's not going to say here America, okay? This is ancient text, and this is the prophecy that was written. America is also known in the spirit as the land of Ophir and the land of Arsareth, right? You could find that in the book of 2 Kings, with Solomon coming to the land of Ophir, the land with an abundance of gold and silver, right? At that time, there was only one land that hasn't been inhabited, which was the land of Ophir, which Ophir means gold. And it was also called the land of Arsareth, which is written in the second book of Esdras. Okay, second book of Esdras, it talks about Arsareth, which in the Hebrew means a land where no man has inhabited, an uninhabited land inhabited by man. Okay, so this is how we know it's talking about America, through the Spirit. Okay, through spiritual discernment, we know this. But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Yasharahla from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, right? And we know this from Deuteronomy 28 and 64. I will scatter thee, okay? I will scatter thee, Israelites, as a curse, as a damnation, to weaken us as nations and to leave us vulnerable to be what? Slaves, okay? Deuteronomy 28:64. I will scatter thee across the four winds of the world. Okay? So, just like we got scattered first, we later, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai placed us back to the land of the north. A good multitude of us. Okay? And that's written in the second book of Esdras. Being the northern kingdom. And the southern kingdom later came, which is the so-called black man, through the transatlantic slave trade. Okay? Bringing the north and the south together, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom Israelites, to be oppressed together, how we just got done reading. All right? Let's go here. Let me just show you this real quick. Deuteronomy 28:64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. There you go. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Okay? Among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and falling of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Okay? So, again, this is how we got scattered. This is why it says here, and from all the lands whither he had driven them. Okay? We do know that the vast multitude of Israelites are here in Babylon the Great through Scripture. Okay? Because we were sent here. First of all, the northern kingdom arrived here first. The northern kingdom Israelites, which are the so-called Hispanics and Native Indigenous of the America, which through history, it is known that as well. Okay? There's actual historical facts to prove that, and biblical prophecy to prove that. Okay? Second book of Esdras, chapter 13, speaks on that. How the 10 lost tribes, were considered lost tribes because, they escaped the Assyrian captivity they were under. Okay? Let's see, we could, let's go to Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, being the northern kingdom, and with the house of Judah, being the southern kingdom region. Right? So this is the new covenant that Yahweh Hashem will make with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, said the Lord. Okay, there you have it. Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua will make a new covenant with the nation of Israelites, right? Not like the one he did when he led us out of the house of bondage, Egypt. Okay, because we broke that covenant. We failed miserably. And that's why we're under the curses till this day, right? Let's continue reading here, Jeremiah 31 and 33. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. Okay? This was right around the corner. And just like back in those days, it was such a miraculous event, such a fearful event as well. It'll be like that as well with the salvation of the elect. Okay? It's not going to be something just beautiful. It's going to be beautiful, but damn near frightening for a lot of people. Like we just got done reading Amos 5 and 18. Woe unto you that desireth the day of the Lord. Right? Those that don't have a clue what's going to happen. All of this simultaneously happened while the empire is being completely annihilated by ICBM missiles here in Babylon the Great. And the chariots of the Lord are destroying the heathen and the heathen nations. All simultaneously while, raising the elect from the four winds of the world. Okay? So shall it be at the end of the world, that the angels shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just. Okay? That's Matthew 13 and 49. So shall it be at the end of the world, that the angels shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay? There's nothing beautiful about this. It's very scary. It's going to be very, very intimidating. Just like we just got done reading in the Ancient of Days how the people were in fear just of the thought of hearing about Israelites coming into their nation. Just of the thought of Joshua and Moses coming into their land. They were just terrified. Okay? They were terrified. Because what? Because they had heard what the God of the Israelites did. They had heard about the God of Israelites and what he did to the Egyptians and to the Egyptian king and the 10 plagues that he placed on Egypt. Okay? So how much more will the people be in fear in this day and age with the chariots of the Lord and the ICBM missiles, nuclear detonations across the whole United States. Okay? And that's what it means when it's talking about, and shall cast them into the furnace of the fire. That's the furnace of the fire that's going to cause here all this nuclear warfare. That's going to be, destroying here Babylon in the spirit here, America. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay? People just bugging out, man. Don't know what to do, screaming, crying. Except the elect. The elect will have salvation. They'll be the only ones that have salvation at first. Okay, let's continue reading here. Let's go to Matthew 24 and 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Okay, so Yahweh Shai is going to come with power and great glory. Okay, let's continue reading here. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay, that's what is going to happen. Okay, so I just wanted to touch up on that topic there. Spirit led me to speak on that, how just like back in the days, is going to be more magnificent, more miraculous, and more dreadful, way more dreadful day like there's never been on the face of the earth. So, like Amos 5 and 18, woe unto them. Woe unto them that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. Okay, so before I go, I want to give all praises, all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who are preaching and teaching this truth with humility and sincerity across the four winds of the world.